Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBC Sports Bay Area. I hope everybody has recovered from the fact that the 49ers did not make a blockbuster trade on the deadline day, which was Tuesday. We all thought they might make a more moderate trade, but they actually did that. They did it with Keon White, trading a sixth round pick next year for Keon White and a seventh. And I think the important thing to note there is that they kept their amount of draft picks. And I think this is something that, is just going to be an ongoing theme for the 49ers is keeping their draft capital and not spending a ton of money on when there's a salary cap. So, there's a lot of players that, yes, probably were attractive to the 49ers, but with the restrictions that they have, because they have a ton of high price players that are very worthy of those high prices, considering it's Deommodore Lenoir, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, and Brandon Ayuk. It's just unfortunate that of all of those players I just mentioned, that several are not on the field. And several that are not on the field are including Brock Purdy, who was limited today in practice, but he's getting better. No Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa. And, it makes the production of the team much different. So, looking forward, again, as Kyle Shanahan said, there is Brandon Ayuk's window is not going to be open this week. He did not practice. We did not see him out there today. Also, Ricky Pearsall not practicing today. He's really the only one who was kind of, I guess, they were hopeful to see out there soon. Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams not practicing today, but just because it's a rest day, it's their usual day off on Wednesday. And also Michael Williams is on the did not participate list, but obviously he's going to go on season-ending IR for his knee injury. They'll probably do it later on in the week when they make their, probably on Saturday, I would think, when they decide who they're going to bump up. So if they want to bump up Ben Bartch, who is on IR, then that's when they make the move to put Michael Williams on IR. So it's kind of a swapping of roster spots. Of the players that were limited on Wednesday, Tatum Bethune thigh injury, Jake Brendel hamstring, so he could make a return maybe this week. Bryce Huff was out there doing positional drills with the defensive line. Let's see who else. Brock Purdy was limited with his toe, like I mentioned earlier, and D. Winters with his knee limited. Brock Purdy, I'm thinking that he doesn't start on Sunday. Every week he gets better. And I thought, okay, well, maybe because MetLife is turf, he won't start. But I mean, Kyle Shanahan, everyone we've talked to said that's not a factor. The turf is not a factor. He has titanium insoles in his shoes that prevent the hyperextension of the toe. So it does keep it more safe. So I thought, okay, no, in New York, and maybe yes, he plays on natural grass at Levi Stadium versus the Rams. But I think we've got to see him in a full participation for a week before we see him start a game. He's limited again on Wednesday. So if he's full participation on Thursday, maybe he plays on Sunday. But I'm thinking if he stays limited throughout the week, he's going to not start on Sunday, which means he'll probably be downgraded to out. Adrian Martinez will be the backup. There's no need to have him up. He'd probably be just the emergency quarterback if they need him. So again, unless Brock Purdy has full participation, I think for a week, I just don't see him starting. Mac Jones is playing well. Those two items are not connected. Just because Mac Jones playing well, that doesn't mean that they're keeping Brock from starting. No, it's about Brock Purdy being healthy enough to play and not be afraid that he's going to re-injure his toe. If that happens, then he'll start. And if that happens, he'll be a full participant in practice. But until he is a full participant, I just don't think he's a starter. Mac Jones and Brock Purdy were splitting reps throughout practice that we saw the first 20 minutes. but Mac Jones was still taking that first rep. So I do think that it's Mac Jones again versus the Rams. And, it's a tough defense to go up against, but they pulled it off before in Levi South. I'm like, I guess I was going to call it SoFi, but it's Levi South. And um, it's just, I think the 49ers offensive line has a big challenge. Those defensive ends are fast and they're talented. So having Spencer Burford at left guard does help. Trent Williams is playing really well. Colton McKivitz has been pretty solid. Yes, I know that it shows on PFF that there are pressures on his side. But again, when you're looking at offensive line grades, you don't know who was supposed to come over and help or whether they were supposed to go the opposite way. Sometimes it's a George Kittle allowed a pressure supposedly by PFF as well. So um, Spencer Burford allowed a sack, but I think he was supposed to get help on that side. So it's just, I think offensive line is the hardest position to grade. When they're playing well. And part of playing well is when Christian McCaffrey is running a ton, and he did. So I think that's your best barometer of whether an offensive line is playing well. Are they, of course, keeping the quarterback upright? There's going to be some pressures, I think, in every game. But if they are running the ball and Christian McCaffrey has over 100 yards rushing, the offensive line is doing a pretty good job. So as far as the Los Angeles Rams injury report, Puka Nacua had chest injury. He was limited in practice on Wednesday, which means he's going to play on Sunday. And Sean McVay said most likely Puka Nacua is going to play. Jordan Whittington, though, back injury, did not participate. Cornerback Darius Williams, shoulder injury, was limited. So 49ers list of injuries is much longer than Los Angeles Rams. But the list also includes people who have had injuries in the past that are full participants. And that is Ben Bartch is full participant. So they could pull him off of IR this week and then, place Michael Williams on IR. So they still are playing around with the roster spots, who's going to get it and who's not. Full participation, Juwan Jennings, ankle shoulder, Mac Jones, full participant, Darrell Luter, full, and then the rest of the limited. So I think that the 49ers, I mean, they always have a chance. It's going to be a challenge going against the Rams, but I think it's looking at how much more experience Tatum Bethune has as the quarterback of that defense. And he told us today, he's like, hey, Fred Warner, I text him after every game. I want to get all of his thoughts on the game and his performance. And he tells him exactly what he thinks. He said Fred Warner is very honest. If he's playing poorly, he tells him he's playing poorly. And if he's playing well, he'll get text messages that are in all caps with a bunch of fire emojis. So Fred Warner obviously thought the performance on in New York was much better than in Houston. And so he got a lot of props for that. Christian McCaffrey said, hey, it's a game is a game is a game, and he will take it whether it's a lot of reps and a lot of runs, or he'll take it whether it's a lot of receptions. Kyle Shanahan was asked today about both Jordan Watkins and Jordan James, the Jordans, who are rookies, and why they may or may not be getting reps. And the reason Jordan James has not been getting reps is because he's behind three guys. He's behind, obviously, Christian McCaffrey, who everyone is, Brian Robinson, who's really starting to pick up the offense well. And I think he's a solid number two. I think they want to get him out there more if possible, just to ease the workload on Christian McCaffrey. But if it's a really close game, they're going to put their best player out there, which is Christian McCaffrey. Isaac Rendo also not getting a lot of play because he's behind Brian Robinson. Now, Jordan James didn't make it through training camp he broke his pinky finger. He had another injury during OTAs. So kind of set him back. So he basically missed all of training camp is what Kyle Shanahan was remembering. And because of that is kind of behind. So now with, if anyone gets hurt now, also, let's not forget, last year they went through Christian McCaffrey. They went through several different running backs, and I can't think of his name right now, the one who's in Minnesota. So, Jordan Mason, good Lord, Jordan Mason. So it was Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Rendo, Jordan Mason, and they were still Patrick Taylor Jr. got out there. So, I mean, this is a year where Christian McCaffrey is healthy. He's going to get most of the snaps. Um, Last year, they went through 4 or 5 different running backs. We've seen that happen before. So, yes, there could be a possibility where Jordan James gets out there, but also these guys have to play on special teams. They've got to earn their spot that way because Christian McCaffrey is obviously not going to play special teams. But when you look at the usage to kind of get higher in the rankings, got to play on special teams and you got to beat out the guys in front of you. And so far, it's Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson, and they've done a pretty solid job. And I think as the season goes along, Brian Robinson is going to get better and better because he's going to understand the blocking and the timing and how the offensive line works in the outside zone. So Jordan Watkins, he's going to get his opportunities again. Also needs to perform on special teams, but he's missed a ton of training camp. Now he was great in training camp. Um, During the preseason, he looked like he was, going to be a huge star. I think the standout of the wide receivers, and then he got hurt. So, hamstring injury again and twice. And so once he got out there, he hurt it again. So he's again like Jordan James, kind of behind. So these guys need to stay healthy. They need to be able to make it through the whole season, getting as many reps as they can on scout team, and then coming back and being completely ready for OTAs, completely ready for training camp next year. And that's going to help them level up in the future. So, um, in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's very challenging for a rookie to be involved. It's got to be like a guy who's like Christian McCaffrey, a first round pick. It's tough. Ricky Pearsall hopefully will come back soon, but as of now, they're going to have to go through it with who they have. So it's going to be a fun game, I think, on Sunday, and I hope I see you out there. But obviously, more coming for you on Thursday, and who we see out in the practice squad. And George Kittle will probably talk tomorrow, so we'll get more info from him about their matchup with the Rams. All right, talk to you guys soon.